You get an inspiration point, you get an inspiration point, you get an GameMasters here, and with the SRD, the System Resource Document 5.1, now in Creative Commons, I'm looking deeper into exactly what it can provide. Much of the information found in it is actually spread across the Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide, as well as the Monster Manual. Today, however, I want to look deeper at inspiration and what the SRD 5.1 says about it. On page 59, it reads, "Inspiration is a rule the Game Master can use to reward you for playing your character in a way that is true to his or her personality traits, ideal, bond, and flaw. By using inspiration, you can draw on your personality trait of compassion for the downtrodden to give you an edge in negotiating with the beggar prince. Or inspiration can let you call on the bond to your defense of your home village to push past the effect of a spell that has been laid on you." And while that really only gives us a vague idea of what it is, we can read a little further to get the bigger picture. The next section explains how you, as a player, would gain inspiration. Your GM can choose to give you inspiration for a variety of reasons. Typically, GMs award it when you play out your personality traits, give in to the drawbacks presented by a flaw or bond, and otherwise portray your character in a compelling way. Your GM will tell you how you can earn inspiration in the game. And this next part is super important. You either have inspiration or you don't. You can't stockpile multiple inspirations for later use. What this tells us is that inspiration is awarded to the player by actually role-playing, by using their characters' characteristics, things like their personality trait, what makes the character tick. For example, I may see omens in every event in action. The gods do speak to us. We just have to know how to listen. And if I play my character that way, seeing a large limb floating down a swiftly moving run of water, I would interpret that as the gods telling me that I need to build a raft to cross that water. That could award me an inspiration point from the Game Master. Likewise, my character also has ideals, bonds, and flaws. The ideal being, perhaps my character has faith and trusts that his deity will guide his actions, that if my character works hard, things will go well. So I would play up that ideal by constantly pushing my abilities to above 100%. If someone goes out to gather wood for a fire, and I would need to do the same thing, only I'd need to bring back more wood. Likewise, my bond is what drives me. For example, if I am dedicated to my friends, I would sacrifice anything that I have to protect them. But even more important would be my character's flaw. I might be very suspicious of strangers and expect the worst in them. So we may be bellied up to a bar and I'm facing down a bartender that we've never met. He gave the rogue in the party a stink eye. And because I don't trust strangers and my bond is to protect my friends, that barred stink eye is going to ultimately land me into some hot water. It may turn out that that was just a harmless wink, but if I play to my character's characteristics and roleplay them well, that's all the more reason for a Game Master to award me an inspiration point. Okay, so now you have an inspiration point. How do you use it? Well, you can use it when you make an attack roll, saving throw, or ability check. Spending your inspiration gives you advantage on that roll. Additionally, if you have inspiration, you can reward another player for good role-playing, clever thinking, or simply doing something exciting in the game. When another player character does something that really contributes to the story in a fun and interesting way, you can give your inspiration to that character's inspiration. Now, this references a few things. Attack roll. This is when you roll a d20 to attack something. Saving throw, you'll roll a d20 in an attempt to resist a harmful spell or perhaps avoid a trap. You generally don't get to make the decision on making a saving throw. You will be asked to make one by your Game Master if your character is facing possible harm. It also references an ability check, and that is simply your character's innate talent and training in an attempt to overcome a challenge. For example, if you want to climb a rope, that would be a dexterity check. It also states that you can spend your inspiration point to give yourself advantage on one of those rolls. Advantage allows you to roll a second d20. You can then use the higher of the two rolls. Now, we all know that a botched roll can result in something not good happening to our character. So being able to spend an inspiration point to gain advantage, a second roll, is always going to be helpful. And because all you have to do is roleplay your character to get an inspiration point, well, this is kind of a no-brainer. Inspiration points don't expire, but you can't have more than one. You can give it to another player, but again, they can't have more than one. I can't help but feel that inspiration points are an underused mechanic. I give them out, but my players rarely remember that they even have them, and they have certainly been in plenty of situations where an extra roll of a d20 could have saved the day. Speaking of rolling an extra d20, sometimes rolling a 1 is inevitable, and you may not have an inspiration point to spend. this is when a critical role or fumble or fail chart would come into play. And if you'd like to see a cool chart created up by some awesome third-party content creators, check out this video. Inspiration points are a fun way to reward players, and they can be awarded for other things other than what was pointed out in this video. It's all up to the Game Master. Do you use inspiration points at your table? Let me know down in the comments, and until next our paths cross, may you not get a stink eye from the barkeep.